What's going on, everybody? We are live. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us for another hour and a half. This is the Going Broadway podcast. Alex and Cole with you this morning. Cole, what's happening?
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Going Broadway podcast, the greatest wrestling podcast ever. That's never going to get old. I'm doing great today. Alex, how are you?
I'm doing all right. It's a little cold outside, but it's all good. It's just that time of year. So, who do we got on here this morning? Our chat thread is already lighting up. We got Andrew making some wise cracks already this morning. Good morning, Andrew. Billy Ray Milburn. Good morning, Thomas. Bonnie J. And Andrew again. Mastacholi.
What a name.
Mastacholi.
Love the name.
Let's see. Mastacholi. Billy Jordan, good morning. Matt Sylvie, good morning. Pau Opa, good morning. Pau Opa, first time seeing the intro. It's like a match card. It is. It really is. Ian, good morning. Jesse, good morning. As opposed to last week, we actually have a lot to talk about today. Before we get into that, though, as you can see behind me, I've got a couple of TV belts that we're going to be giving away, at least one of them, at some point in the next 6 weeks. Today begins our 6 weeks of Christmas free giveaway event. Basically, all you guys got to do in order to have a chance to win is just check us out live if you can. And we won't be giving away specific prizes as far as week by week, but any given week we could give away one of these. I've got a bunch of other prizes kind of on the back burner, so to speak. And I don't think I did a very good job of explaining the rules last week, so I'll kind of explain them again. At any given point throughout each of our podcasts, I'm going to ask you guys to basically reply with the word here. You don't have to do it each time. You can if you want, but all you got to do is reply one of those times throughout the podcast whenever I request it, and you're automatically entered for that particular week. Now, you don't have to be listening live to win, but you do have to contact me within 24 hours if you are picked. So if you're not watching live, that obviously means someone's going to have to tell you, or you're going to have to go back and watch the rest of the podcast. So that being said,
Watch live. Just kidding.
No, I mean, I know some of you guys work during this time of the day, and if you can't check out the entire podcast, at least go back and make sure that you didn't win. I mean, if you don't want to watch the whole podcast, that's fine. Towards the end of the show, as you can see, we're going to be doing some of our Survivor Series predictions, so that'll be an interesting part of the podcast that I would encourage you to check out if you can't watch us live. But for right now, reply with the word here. This is going to be the first time I'm asking this. Again, you don't have to do it each time. You only have to do it once, but reply with the word here, and you're automatically going to be, you'll get your free entry for this week. While you guys are doing that, we'll start talking some wrestling. So like I said, we have tons to talk about. What do you want to start off with?
Man, so let's tackle one of the big ones. Zelina Vega released from WWE shortly after she refuses to give over her Twitch account. She starts a OnlyFans page, and she puts on Twitter that she's for a I can't even say the word.
Hashtag unionization.
Unionization in the wrestling business.
We're starting off with such a sexy topic this morning. Sorry, no pun intended. I meant unionization.
Right.
Continue.
So, I don't know what to think on this because, I've seen Zelina Vega. We've seen Zelina Vega for years, right? We know she can wrestle. She's not terrible in the ring, but I also wouldn't consider her to be like a marquee women's talent to go after from a wrestling aspect.
I mean, she's from a wrestling aspect, she's middle of the pack. Don't get me wrong. I know we talked about specifically Nia Jax and Mandy Rose last week as kind of being maybe not so talented in the ring. I would definitely put her above that. She's middle of the pack. I mean, she's not a Charlotte Flair by any means, but nonetheless.
At the same time, though, her personality her mic work and stuff could be a major asset, and was during the
Agreed.
pandemic era for Raw. I mean, she
Agreed.
was the mic person on Raw in the kind of the peak of the pandemic era, and so got a lot of TV time. I think this could be dangerous for WWE to release her like that, just point blank, because there is another promotion who's looking to strengthen their women's division, has gone on record, and you just release somebody who can put on a match, who can put on a decent match,
And who can cut a promo.
and who can cut a promo and be a top heel in another company where the women's division is not stacked. I mean, here's the thing. WWE's women's division stacked, so Zelina Vega against Charlotte Flair doesn't seem believable. But Zelina Vega versus Big Swole, Zelina Vega versus Sheeta, we start her fresh, and there's actually something that could be that could happen here. So I wanted to bring that up because we see the wrestling community talking about this. I want to kind of get your thoughts and our viewers' thoughts. I mean, do you think Zelina Vega is something to be kind of fighting over if you're another promotion?
Well, let's put it this way. WWE is not going to miss her from the sense that, like you said, their women's division is already stacked. They have people to fall back on, and then even past that, people to fall back on,
Right.
if necessary. I'm not advocating for it because, again, that I'll call it third tier of their women's division. Again, I'm putting Nia Jackson and I'm putting Mandy Rose in that category. But nonetheless, I would have put Zelina Vega in that second tier. So they're not going to miss her, but it's definitely an interesting fight that Vince McMahon decides he wants to fight. Because inevitably, and we've said this before, we're not going to talk politics on here. Unfortunately, there's a political ramification with unionization and things like that. But it's just really interesting given the presidential election situation as far as having an apparent winner. What's the guy's name? Is it Jeremy Yang or something like that?
Yeah,
I'm
the
probably,
guy who was running.
I'm probably getting his name wrong, but
Yeah.
supposedly he's going to have a excuse me, he's going to have a spot on Biden's cabinet or something like that. But that means that he and Vince McMahon are probably going to tangle a little bit over this. So it's interesting timing that I did get his name right. Did I say Andrew Yang?
You said Jeremy.
Jeremy Yang. Okay, I was
Andrew
close.
Yang.
I was close. But nonetheless, it's just the timing of it's really interesting. A, given the presidential election situation, and B, like you said, given the fact that there are tons of options that Zelina Vega has now. That I mean, she doesn't even have to go to AEW. She could go back to Impact where she was at one time. I don't see her doing this, but she could go to NWA if she wanted to. She could go to New Japan. There's just a lot of options out there for her. Now, piggyback conversation. Where do you think this leaves Aleister Black?
I was getting ready to ask because I already saw these marks out here. I already saw pictures of Tommy End leading the Dark Order.
Oh no!
Or joining the Dark Order. Him coming in and kind of attacking Brody Lee and assuming the leadership of the Dark Order. Now, you have heard me say it 1,000 times on this show. I am not an advocate for every talent that leaves WWE going to AEW.
Correct.
I think AEW has plenty of talent at this point. But Aleister Black would be a very hot commodity to not go after.
I think Zelina Vega is a hot commodity not to go after.
I agree. I'm saying the reason why we even bring Aleister Black into this is because we see these wrestling couples that are split. I just had a chance finally to listen to the Talkers Jericho podcast with Miro. And Miro kind of talks about how they hate being on separate shows now because they were so connected when they were out on the road together doing events together that you can tell that there's a little bit of unhappiness with it. So
Right.
what happens there? Does Does Lana stay in WWE when her contract runs up? Even because WWE is pampering to her now, they don't want her to go.
Right.
Even though she's not that good in the ring, they don't want her to go.
I mean, they've done a network special on her.
Right.
Like-
They are for a few months ago. It was we could just let you go and it's no big deal. Now Miro's out here making some waves and whatnot. And it's like, oh, we can't let you go. So instead, we're gonna make you a baby face and we're gonna do X, Y, and Z.
Which isn't working, by the way. I mean, you're not.
No.
They're trying to make her into this sympathetic face, and it just makes her look awful.
Fans are just cheering for her going through the table. So that's what I'm saying. Not to get off topic on the wrestlers at hand,
Right.
but I bring that up because I'm interested to see how WWE will now play this out. Because now you have Aleister Black, who is talented, who could be a champion, at least a mid card champion,
Mm-hmm.
and you have plenty. What is he on SmackDown now?
See, that's just it. I don't even remember.
I'm pretty sure he got drafted to SmackDown. Maybe not. I thought he got drafted to SmackDown. But either way, him versus Sami Zayn with him getting the title would be a great match. It would be great for his career. And then there's plenty of feuds that you can have. You can rehash out the Kevin Owens, Aleister Black feud.
yeah, he is on SmackDown, so
You got plenty. Get the eye patch off of him. He's not a pirate. And let's see some good matches and let's see you build him. But I'm interested to see if WWE throws the book at him, and says, hey, we want to make you a star now that we have a reason to keep you, because we don't want you to go to Impact, AEW, New Japan, NWA, any of the top contenders that would be around. We want to make you a star, so we're gonna do this, and this. Could he be this year's Royal Rumble winner? There's just all those different things that we saw how they handled Lana and what they're doing with her now. Now I want to see what happens here, because Zelina obviously is going to go somewhere else. I mean, she was making more money on Twitch than she was in her WWE contract,
which is
means that
really saying
fans
something.
want to see you, talk to you. Her and Aleister do a YouTube channel together, and they do Q&As and stuff. So they're connected as a unit too. And I just don't know if, as a married couple, if you stay working in separate promotions, when you know there's other promotions out there that can pay you enough to make it work with all your other side ventures that you enjoy doing anyways.
See, okay, here's how I look at this. It's kind of a catch-22 situation. So this whole unionization topic is being discussed ultimately because Vince McMahon doesn't want to fork out the money for health benefits and insurance and all of that. Would you say that's an accurate statement?
Overall, and he doesn't want the unionization because it means that they get rights, and
Well, yeah.
There's more rights that come to it just in the healthcare thing that I think wrestlers are starting to see. Is that if we had this, we would be able to rise up against CEOs taking advantage of us.
I thought you were going to say rise against Tate.
No,
Sorry. Okay, but back to what I was going to say. Part of it is there'd be more money coming out of Vince McMahon's pocket. So it seems really odd that Vince McMahon wouldn't want to go the route of keeping his talent happy, but yet if he doesn't want someone like Aleister Black to go to the competition, he's just going to throw more money at them anyway out of spite. Because at least in the case of Aleister Black, Vince McMahon is not a supporter of his. Last I read, Aleister Black was getting his push whenever Paul Heyman was
right.
Booker, essentially. And then whenever he got axed from that position, he just kind of fell out of favor. So to me, it's just kind of like, ultimately, no matter how you look at it, if you want to keep someone like Aleister Black, you're going to have to throw more money. More money is going to come out of your pocket if you're Vince McMahon anyway. So why not? I get the whole, they're going to be subjected to more rules and regulations and things like that. But would you rather do that, or would you rather throw money at somebody out of spite and not wanting to do it just so that they don't go anywhere else?
The two things that come to my mind is this. One, to your point, with throwing them just more money, that's controlled money. He controls how much that is. He controls when you get it, and he can control if you get it or not, because he could just let you go and not pay you it. It's controlled money, where if you do unions and stuff, it's taken out of his hands. The legally things can come involved that make you and force you to pay. different things. Now,
Right. It just seems like that would still be the cheaper route to go, though. And I don't know. I'm not familiar with unionizations, and the only thing I'm really familiar with as far as this conversation as a whole is just, at least with my company, I do all of the the HR related stuff. So I'm familiar with like health benefit costs and things like that. But I don't know what that would look like for a professional wrestler. I'm sure the cost would be
hi.
astronomically higher than the average Joe like us. So
I would say this though: if I'm Vince McMahon, you've revolutionized wrestling more than once.
oh, for sure.
Here's an opportunity to go back down in the books again and to take the credit for it. AEW doesn't have the. I think they're too fresh of a company to try to also create a union as well. I don't think that they have the manpower to be focused on wrestling and putting on a decent product and also do this when all of their CEOs and people involved have side ventures of their own to run.
Sure.
WWE has that. WWE has plenty of people on their payroll, their roster, who could solely be basing their time and their energy on how do we create a successful union that benefits our wrestlers but also benefits us. And then you revolutionize wrestling by creating a union for WWE, though. For creating a union for your WWE wrestlers. And it gives people an incentive to now be in WWE where no other company will have that.
So you're saying McMahon form his own union?
Form his own union.
Can he do that though?
I'm not sure. I don't know the legalities, but even if he can't, and he forms and he helps revolutionize a wrestlers union, he can still control what that looks like if he's the one revolutionizing it.
But I think there might be a conflict of interest. So for example, like you can't have. So, and I'm bringing him up specifically because I know he's actually, he's a member of the SAG union, I think, Screen Actors Guild union. Frankie Kazarian. He's an AEW competitor. If Vince McMahon forms a wrestlers union, I don't think from a conflict of interest standpoint, I don't think that from a legality standpoint, I don't think you could do that. I don't know. If you're watching and you're familiar with unionization and can shed some light for me and Cole, feel free. But I don't know what all goes into this. It could be a fair point. I don't really know.
You want to be on the right side of history is my point.
Right.
And if you keep doing this, there's a lot of guys, especially the mid-level talents in WWE, who know that they could be successful elsewhere. Mm-hmm. The only reason why they're there is because of the money. The money is right. A lot of them are like, I just go in, I do my job, and I get paid for it. And they're not peaking their careers like they could going to another company, having other side ventures. For instance, we could look at Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona wasn't really anything in WWE in the last 5 years, probably, give or take, minus a tag run here and there, whatever, but nothing major. But he's making money off of his podcast, off of his toy business, his toy collection business, all these different side ventures. Not to mention your merch is selling still. So,
which still blows my mind that people are buying his merch. But, I mean, people like the guy.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is that you're selling you. And that's why Vince McMahon would be smart to get on the right side of history here.
Each person in the talent industry, no matter if you're a pro wrestler, if you're an actor, if you're in professional sports, you're not only an athlete or an actor or whatever, you are a brand. Right. So ultimately, that's what the conclusion that we're coming to is some way, shape, or form. It sounds like that there'd almost need to be like, I think Andrew actually said this, wrestlers would need to like somehow come to a vote on it.
Right.
Now, I don't know if that's company specific. I don't know if that would be like akin to the old school NWA days where you had all these wrestling companies, but they reported to one overarching organization. I don't know. There are so many different facets of this that we don't have time to discuss. I mean, this could be a show by itself. Just this single topic.
I would be interested to see how many wrestlers are actually for this because there's so many who have been silent too that you don't really know their thoughts. But anywho, let's shift gears here and
next topic.
What do you got?
Oh man, let's see. How about this will be a short, quick one, but we talked about this a little before we went live. Finn Balor is teasing a
Club.
I don't want to say reunion because it'd be different guys, but a club reformation, I guess. So he posted on, I saw it on his Twitter. I don't know if he posted it elsewhere, but there's some artwork that included Finn Balor, AJ Styles, and Adam Cole.
Not like a cheap artwork either. We're talking really nice.
I mean, legit.
Almost planned.
That pretty much looked like it came straight out of WWE's production.
Right.
I mean, it looks like it could be a cover for a DVD or like a pay-per-view, like a pay-per-view flyer or poster.
Right.
So whoever did it is super talented. Now, that begs the question, and you guys can share your thoughts with this as well. Cole and I were discussing this before we went on. Would you like to see a club reformation specifically with those three? Why don't you go first and share your thoughts that you talked about before we went on?
I would, and thinking about this just a little bit deeper, I think now would be the worst time to do it because there's not many strong factions that are on the main roster. Factions, not tag teams, factions. The Hurt Business wouldn't even come close to this kind of a team. The closest team that I think I've seen now that was around would have been the Shield. I think that would have been able to really compete with such a team.
That's
like
been
this.
the most recent faction that felt big, for lack of a better word.
I would say Undisputed Era, but then you got Adam Cole already in that group, and if you take Adam out of that group, it's not the same group.
Exactly.
So, starting to look at it, maybe if you would have went back and did Wyatt family, it at least would have been entertaining from promos to things like that between Bray. But as far as match goes, I think the Shield was the closest thing that would have put on a decent match with a 3v3 type situation.
Right.
So I just don't know if bringing them as a faction and going to one brand would be the best fit because you have 3 world champions right there. You don't go and put them on a show together and have one of them be the mid card, one of them be the main card, and one of them not
just
hold
kind
a
of
belt
flounder
or whatever. I would think you do this kind of a more of a long-term storyline in a sense, and you kind of create the club via brand. You already have Finn Balor on NXT. You move Adam Cole to SmackDown or because AJ Styles is on Raw, and you literally have Adam Cole work his way to the top to be world champion on SmackDown. You have AJ Styles work his way to the top to be Raw world champion, and you have NXT's champion Finn Balor. Now you have the club, and you have them as world champions on each brand. They kind of represent, they show up at each other's shows because, it's WWE, we can do that. And then eventually you lead to like a Night of Champions or a Clash of Champions, Survivor Series type pay-per-view where it's champion versus champion versus champion. And we have a club, kind of a fight for who is the club.
If they were to do it, it almost needs to be like a 2 or 3 year extended storyline, extended build to where, like you said, there are multiple facets to this. So first, you would somehow have to take Adam Cole out of Undisputed Era. You'd have to tease that for a while, then execute it. Get him over to SmackDown somehow as well. The NXT side would be, well, at least outside of the Undisputed Era. So the NXT side, as far as the title goes, that would be the easiest because NXT has left things so open-ended in a good way for the most part that you could just throw, Finn Balor in any storyline. I mean, he's still currently champion. So throw anybody at him, continue to have him retain the title, maybe do a title switch every now and then, but ultimately put it back on Finn Balor as you're building this. Build AJ Styles on Raw, eventually put the belt on him, eventually put the belt on Adam Cole, but this cannot be done overnight. This would need to be an AEW-esque type storyline, how they build and build and build and build to where you would get a payoff. Now, it would need to be all of this would kind of need to happen the same week as far as a payoff, because it's going to happen between the 3 shows if you did it this way. And by the way, we're just kind of playing fantasy booking right now. We're not saying this is going to happen. I doubt that it would. I personally, I wouldn't be a fan of it if they did, nonetheless. But you can't, if you're WWE and you did this, you can't just throw it together in 6 months.
Right.
And then
For a short payoff.
Night of Champions next year have the match. Like I said, this would be at least a 2-year-long program between the 3 brands. Now, like you said, you can't have them all on one brand because they're all former world champions. I get that it's been done before. You had Evolution, different time period. Now, just with the current stage of wrestling, with the pandemic and no fans, or very little fans, I should say, it's just the timing of it right now does not seem right. Now, if we had an arena full of fans, entirely different story, entirely different layout of things. I mean, fans make all the difference in wrestling in terms of storyline. As odd as that sounds, it makes all the difference, because you've got WWE and AEW that are altering storylines because we still don't have fans in the arenas right now.
Now, just having a second to think about it, I will retract my statement just a little bit, because you could put all 3 of them on a brand, but you got to give them somebody big to feud with. It can't just, like I'm saying, it can't be them versus New Day. It can't be them versus. I could almost maybe, just because how they've built up one of the Usos, I could maybe see Roman Reigns and the Usos versus them kind of having that storyline, especially if it's meant to take down Roman Reigns. And it's they built Roman Reigns up to be this top guy. Here comes 3 of the top guys in the business, and they build up, Adam Cole, I feel like, is kind of the guy that you need to build up right now. AJ kind of uses his veteran status, Finn Balor his current status, and we kind of get Adam Cole as champion and, kind of play with it from there. But you got to give him someone to feud with, which is why this almost feels like maybe a long, maybe a year long at least, maybe WrestleMania build up, where they kind of just show loyalty to each other. It's not like a club reunion, but they kind of have each other's backs and make sure that they're good, during matches, and kind of build one another up. And then maybe you bring in someone who hasn't been in a while, or you form a new faction that just does assume power, something that's just undeniably great, maybe something that's centered around Drew McIntyre, or something that's centered around people who can throw on good matches, and then you build towards a long-term storyline between those factions. But it has to be, done right. It has to be the right feud, the right people feuding against, the right timing, enough timing. There's just a lot. I kind of agree with you. I don't think I like the idea of it. Had the Good Brothers been still in the company, maybe.
Entirely different dynamic.
Because now you're talking 5-person faction, or you don't necessarily have to have AJ, Finn, and Adam Cole in this faction. And that's the thing, is you could almost have Adam Cole with the Undisputed Era feuding against.
And that's something we had actually talked about
Bullet Club.
earlier this year, whenever they were still with WWE, is somehow have a fantasy match with Undisputed Era against
AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and the Good Brothers.
Exactly.
And that, to me, would have been the time to capitalize on the Bullet Club or the club angle. I think now you've missed your mark. I think now it's too late to go back and say, oh, well, all these guys are here and they have this background. That's good. Put them in a triple threat match and let's have a go at it. But
to close this thought, the timing of it is just not correct. You kind of hit the nail on the head, where if they would have done this 2 years ago, probably the time period was
the peak of the Good Brothers in WWE.
Well, the peak of. So this, let me think. So it was pre AEW at this point. So I would say summer of 2018. If they were going to pull the trigger on it, no pun intended, they should have done a Bullet Club-esque reunion in WWE.
Because Good Brothers were, considered a good tag team at the time, Finn Balor was in that mid-card area at the time, and now you got AJ Styles, who can be a top contender as well. So you got a world champion, you got a mid-card champion, you got a tag team, you got the perfect thing, and here comes Undisputed Era. You got a world champion, you got a mid-card champion, you got it. So yeah, I go.
You have a belt. You have a belt.
Right. You got those kind of groups. So
let's pick one more headline to talk about real quick. Well, we had some title changes, but I think we'll kind of discuss that a little later in the show. So Chelsea Green.
Yeah, I was actually, to be honest, this has been a debut that I think took way too long to happen.
Again, timing of it should have happened
the
months ago.
Here's the thing. Let me backtrack. I don't think Chelsea Green is that good. I don't think she's that talented.
I agree.
I don't even think she's that good on the mic. But for some reason,
she's better than some.
She's middle of the pack for me. And
middle of the pack in the ring, maybe subpar, middle of the pack, but I'd say on the mic, I'd put her above average. I mean, she's better than some. I mean,
she's all right.
Part of it is just the charisma aspect. I know that she kind of sounds cheesy in her promo sometimes, but anyway, sorry, continue.
But they had teased this whole Chelsea Green debut months ago. Mm-hmm. We're talking maybe 4 months ago.
Sounds about right.
Back during Mania. So it would have been maybe even 5 months ago. She was teaming with Charlotte Flair. Mm-hmm. And, so I'm like, okay, maybe they gave up on it. Maybe they're redeveloping her. Maybe she got injured. I don't know. But we see her come up on SmackDown talking about potentially or being in that Fatal 4-Way match to be on the Women's Survivor Series team. I have not read any reports on this. I have no idea. But before she broke her wrist, I think she was supposed to win that match.
No, well, supposedly I read that it had no impact on the match.
That's easy to say when
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying that it's.
I will say this: I don't think anyone in that match has a major role in Survivor Series, so I don't think it really mattered who won the match.
Agreed.
But I think Chelsea Green was definitely supposed to be on the Survivor Series team. You don't have her come debut and then have her lose. You're trying to build her up. You already got Bianca Belair on the team. You don't have to worry about her taking an L on SmackDown right now. You got to build her up, and this was the perfect match to do it.
Well, you're speaking in logical terms. You have to remember Vince McMahon is behind the scenes, the one calling the shots. So logic is a lot of times thrown out the window. Chelsea Green actually lives in the area, so it was easy to bring her in. I think she lives like an hour from the Performance Center the Amway Center. So it was easy to give her a call. Come on down. We're gonna have you debut tonight. And the reports that I read was that it didn't have any impact on the match. However, I think I'm more inclined to, even though we can really throw logic out the window with McMahon, I'm actually inclined to agree with you on this, that if you're not going to have her win the match, ultimately, what's the point of bringing her in now just for the sake of bringing her in? I mean, you could have thrown any other women's wrestler as a fourth. Was it a fatal 4-way match?
Yeah, and here's not to go back a topic, but before you fired Zelina Vega, you could have sent her out with a huge L and a fatal 4-way match.
Could have. I mean, because she was there at SmackDown.
She got released, week or what, hours before the show.
I don't know the timing of it, but I read that she was actually physically at the Amway Center.
She was there
at
the center, but I'm pretty sure they released her hours before the show. You could have waited to release her the next day and had her take a huge L on the show. I'm just saying, if you were looking for people to take L's, I don't think introducing someone who could be a future talent and having her lose her first match on the brand doesn't make any sense.
Anyway, nonetheless, and I'm going to kind of create a segue here to our Flip the Script segment here shortly, but Chelsea Green, she breaks her wrist. Fast forward. Did you see on Twitter how, I think it was Twitter, Britt Baker sent her a care package? And it had it was a gag. Well, it was half serious, but half gag gift package that had Miralax in it and just all these I think it had two different laxative medicines and just it was funny, but as far as a segue, we're going to transition to our Flip the Script segment. So if you've not watched us do a flip the script, basically all we're doing here is we're taking a storyline, a match, something that's already gone down on TV or on a pay-per-view, basically say we don't agree with how they booked it, say how we would have booked it, maybe elaborate a little bit on some details and things like that. So as far as the segue, two things I want to touch on, and they were both title matches. So AEW Full Gear, I mentioned one of these to Cole before we went live. Even though I predicted Darby to win the TNT title, I don't think he should have. I think he should have kept the belt on Cody and had him eventually lose it to someone else. You know, as far as who and a timeline, we can discuss that here in a second. I also think you should have had Britt Baker on this card in the AEW Women's title match, assuming she's been cleared to compete. I don't know. I'm just making the assumption that she has been. But if she has been cleared to compete, I think she should have been on this card. I think she should have won the AEW Women's title. Give your AEW Women's division a little bit of a boost, especially since your biggest attraction in AEW right now are women's wrestlers that aren't your AEW homegrown talent. You've got Serena and you've got Thunder Rosa, neither of which are originally from AEW. So that was kind of my segue in terms of mentioning Britt Baker. I think she should have won the women's title. As far as I haven't really thought about a long-term booking plan, at least in that scenario. So I want to transition back to the TNT title match. So let's say Cody wins, goes over Darby, keeps the TNT title. Who are some competitors that, and I've got some in mind, but who are some competitors that you would think could maybe take the TNT belt off of Cody that might be a better option than Darby? Now, you can throw anything into this. Like, you can throw in the fact that maybe when Cody loses it, he's turned heel by that point already, and you put, a face. Okay, as an example, I'll name one. Sammy Guevara is supposedly turning face over the next month or two. That's what I've read anyway. If you really wanted to give Sammy a push, a face version of Sammy Guevara against a heel Cody Rhodes TNT title match, at that point you could really give Sammy a nice little rub in that scenario. So all that to say, you can throw in different scenarios as far as it doesn't have to be as it is now. I mean, you can throw in, do it however you want. I know I'm sounding vague, but
I got 3 to 4 names that come to mind.
Go for it.
Adam Hangman Page.
Okay.
Adam Hangman Page. He's not in the main title picture right now. That match went to Kenny. So you got Adam Hangman Page just kind of laying in limbo. There is dissension between the BTE type group or whatever. We've teased that for a while with Adam Hangman Page as well. So I think Adam Hangman Page would be my number 1 pick to beat Cody because it's also a AEW person. It's not somebody from another company that came over. I think Adam Hangman Page would be number 1. Number 2, Miro. You brought in Miro. He's the best man. The gimmick you've given him is not bad.
It's not great either, though.
It could work, but you have to start booking him seriously, and having him run roughshod over best friends over a video game is not taking him seriously.
Agreed.
I think Miro would be up there for me. Brian Cage, I think, would be one for me. Drop the FTW belt crap that they do, and let's put a real belt on him. Brian Cage, not a WWE guy, came in top talent-esque.
If you've not watched him in Impact or PWG or elsewhere,
Lucha Underground,
Brian Cage is just an insane in-ring performer. He's not great on the mic, but that's why he's got him with Taz.
But Taz isn't either. So,
well, I mean, He's not as good as he used to. Taz
Right.
used to be pretty good on the mic, and now it's just kind of like everything feels like a shoot with him.
They need to give Brian Cage a female type entourage type thing. But I say all that. My last one would be I'm not going to give necessarily a specific person, somebody in the inner circle. I would think MJF would be a good candidate to give him a belt versus no belt right now. You're not ready to put the world title on him. Cool. TNT is perfect. You could rehash out a Cody MJF feud. Do it that way. So there's that. I went against Sammy Guevara. I'm also not against Jake Hager having a run at the TNT title. And to be fair, I wouldn't even be against Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho not being the main guy, but having a belt still brings a lot of good mic ability. Still brings some decent matches, some great feuds, and he doesn't have to be the main guy putting on the main event.
Chris Jericho as TNT champion, I don't hate the idea. I mean, at first it's just kind of like, yeah, but the more you think about it, I mean,
he elevates the title.
He elevates the belt.
Great
so
promos. Yeah. The storylines are endless with that, and
I mean, it's the TNT network, so I mean,
puts him on the card for pay-per-views without him having to be the reason why you watch it for the main event.
Yeah.
And Cody versus Jericho?
Yeah. I mean, TNT network execs would probably dig that. We haven't mentioned Wardlow. I think so. My thought process is he needs some more in-ring work from a couple different perspectives. I wouldn't call him green, but there's still room for improvement. Now, he needs more in-ring work from the perspective of anytime we see him on programming, he's generally just there as MJF's bodyguard, sidekick, whatever. I don't know if he competes on Dark frequently or not. I don't catch Dark every week, but they need to transition him to more of an in-ring performer because he's not bad. Now, let's put it this way. We've had discussions of Lance Archer in particular whenever he had the match with Cody, that was probably his best match, but still lackluster. I think the match that Cody had with Wardlow, that cage match, was actually better than the Cody Archer match. And that's saying something because Lance Archer has been in this business for 12, 13 years. I'm just throwing out a random arbitrary number. It could be plus or minus that. But Wardlow's not been in the business as long. I don't know how long, but it's not been as long. And don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of Lance Archer. I think he's definitely gotten better. He's kind of found his footing more on AEW, especially with Jake Roberts. But that's another name, Lance Archer. Could he be TNT champion? I don't know. But if you would have said 3 months ago Darby Allin's going to be TNT champion, I would have said you're nuts. But credit to AEW, they've made it work. They've made it kind of be a believable type storyline. Didn't make Cody look bad at all during the pay-per-view because it was a roll-up. Right. So, what else? You flipped the script on something.
All right, so I got two things in mind. I know you got one more too. So
I'm just gonna stick with that one.
I got two that stick out. None of them are very long-winded ones. The first one, I always try to do one for WWE and one for AEW because I always feel like there's always a storyline in both companies.
A storyline that needs fixed or repaired.
My one in WWE, it was very simple to pick, and it was what's going on with the United States title. It's not that I dislike the Hurt Business, but we have not had a competitor for the United States title, a actual, he's going to win competitor since during Apollo Crews' title run, and that was Bobby Lashley. I have not yet seen a match where I was like, he's going to beat Bobby Lashley. So my flip the script would have been is I would have had Ricochet beat Bobby Lashley during the Retribution angles where we had Retribution interfering with matches. I would have put the belt on Ricochet. It would have been a way to build Ricochet back up, get him back in the spotlight without hurting Bobby Lashley in the Hurt Business. transition their feud without the belts to a Retribution, Bobby Lashley, Hurt Business kind of feud. Set Bobby Lashley up to get back into the main title picture where I think he actually belongs due to his size. I think him versus Drew McIntyre could be a very interesting match.
Side note, I want to say this real quick. Did you see the article about the match with Lashley and Sami Zayn? Supposedly it's going to be a squash match that Sami Zayn is going to get like little to no offense in.
Which it should be. Theoretically, that match should be a squash match. The way you built Bobby Lashley, the way you built the Hurt Business, the way that you've done that, you can't tell. I spoiler alert on one of my predictions. I don't think Sami Zayn even deserves to be in this match. I don't even think it makes sense. There's been no build up. There's been no real talk other than just them kind of talking on their shows about it. But I think this match sounds. If you were going to change anybody's title, I thought that one of these titles should have been changed to me. And then a Ricochet versus Sami Zayn would have interested me a little bit more.
That would be a pretty decent match.
That would be a better match to me. So you don't hurt Bobby Lashley. You have Ricochet get a roll-up pin or some kind of a thing, and you have them Hurt Business move on. You still can put Shelton and Cedric in the tag picture. You transition Bobby into the main title picture. And now you have MVP available to go back after the United States Championship and work on, a powerhouse faction on Raw. That's cool.
Okay.
But I would have put the belts on Ricochet and built Ricochet up, put him against Sammy at Survivor Series, and I would have had Bobby Lashley in the Hurt Business move on to other things.
It just seems really silly that you're going to have your mid-card title picture be a squash match when you just literally had a really good Intercontinental title ladder match. What, 2 pay-per-views ago? Whenever it was AJ and Sammy and Jeff Hardy. So, Bonnie, we appreciate it. Have a good day. Thanks for tuning in as always. What's your other one? You mentioned you had one for AEW as well.
This one's gonna shock you.
Shock me.
I would have had Jon Moxley lose the belt to Eddie Kingston. And the reason why is this.
This is totally going against. You're just like, if Eddie Kingston wins this, I'm going to be so. Or
I would have been
how
mad.
you worded it.
I would have been mad, but I had to think about it for just a second. And here is why. I would have had Eddie Kingston hold the belt for less than a week.
Okay, continue.
He wins the belt on the pay-per-view. Beats Jon Moxley in an unfair way. You have his whole group getting involved. You have Penta, Phoenix, the Butcher and the Blade. You have all of them come in and make sure Kingston wins for his mom. He's got to get this win. He wins the belt. He comes out just braggadocious, whatever, and it sets up a match where it's not just him versus Moxley, but it's him versus Moxley versus maybe Kenny and somebody else, like a fatal 4-way match type thing, and you have someone win without pinning Moxley or Kingston. You move Kingston and Moxley onto their own storyline without the belt because I think they could put on better matches and a better storyline if the main belt wasn't on the line.
Okay.
You get the belt off Moxley in an unfair way. You don't hurt him. You don't hurt his image. You don't hurt his run by doing that. And then the very next Dynamite, you have Eddie Kingston drop it to somebody else. I don't care. It could be Adam Hangman Page, and then you could have done Page versus Kenny. It doesn't matter to me who would have got the win there, but you then set up a Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston storyline without a belt because their promos were great. The storyline itself was pretty good. The match was lackluster because we put the main belt involved in it, and it didn't meet our AEW World Championship standards. If we take the belt out of that match, what does that match look like to you now? To me, I think it was a better match. I think if it was just them wanting to beat the crap out of each other for the sake of it, I think that match would have been better. I think that's why the Kenny and Jon Moxley match was even special as well to begin with when they had their gruesome match. It was gruesome because you're not even going to win anything here. There's nothing on the line. It's just a gruesome match.
And I think they could have, at least in your scenario, they could have had a much more brutal match than what they had at Full Gear. I think a lot of us were kind of disappointed with the whole no holds barred or however it was worded. I mean, it was a sanctioned match, but the fact that Omega and Moxley had a more hardcore-esque weapon style match than Moxley and Kingston kind of says something. But in your scenario, they could have pushed the envelope even more if they had another match like that, just, lights out, unsanctioned, however you want to word it, where you could bust out the barbed wire spider web and the shattered glass and what else do they use in that match? Mouse traps and all that stuff.
The problem is with the title on the line, you want it to be a clean win, especially for Moxley. They wanted to make sure Moxley didn't get hurt in this storyline because you got to keep him built up if he's your champion.
Well, that and the fact that he might be going to New Japan for Wrestle Kingdom to defend his IWGP US belt.
Which also gets the belt off of him for AEW to be freed up just a little bit to kind of take care of his other obligations.
Which is why I still think, spoiler alert, I think Kenny's going to win the belt on December 2nd.
Which is great. I'm not against that idea. I just think that if I was AEW, Full Gear had no shockers, no surprises, nothing that really wowed us. After every match, we were like, oh, this is going to happen. Nope, didn't happen. Oh, this is going to happen. Nope, didn't happen. And I'm just thinking now, looking back on it, I don't want Eddie Kingston as champion. I don't think he should be AEW champion, but a less than a 1 week title run would have been great for storyline. It would have been great to switch it up, get the belt off Moxley in a safe way without hurting him. And then you go and you have Brody Lee come back and get involved in that match, or whoever the case may be.
And backtracking to my flip the script, Eddie Kingston's another guy you could put the TNT belt on. True. Potentially. So, all right, let's transition to some fan mail. So get your questions into us. We'll tackle some of them. Also, we're gonna do another a second giveaway entry. So again, if you have done this already, you don't have to do it again. You can if you want to. It doesn't give you a second entry or anything. But just reply with the word here if you have not already done so. If you reply with the word here, that automatically enters you into the giveaway randomizer drawing that we're going to do at the end of the show. As you can see, week 1 giveaway towards the bottom. We'll do that at the end of the show. The winner will get a mystery prize. If you didn't join us to start the show, this week begins our 6 weeks of Christmas free giveaways. And you have to contact me to claim your prize if you're announced as the winner. I will not contact winners going forward. So go ahead and get your questions in as you guys are replying with the word here. Let's see. We actually just answered this. Dewey Egger says, what do you want them to do with Eddie Kingston now? You kind of just touched on it a little bit with your
now
the script.
Now what I would like them to do is to not follow through with breaking up Penta and Phoenix. That was teased on AEW this past week, and having Kingston get between the Lucha Bros. I think that is the worst decision you could ever do because those two need to be tag champions.
Yeah. Let's see. Fear the Beard says, what if we miss a keyword? Basically, I'm going to request 3 different times throughout each podcast to reply with the word here. You only have to do it once. You don't have to do it all 3 times. I think I was a little maybe confusing when I went through the rules last week. You only have to reply with the word here 1 time when it's requested. So I hope that answers your question. Dewey says, what's the best way to contact you? If you need to get in touch with us, just send us a message through our Going Broadway podcast Facebook page. In fact, all of our social media pages are scrolling across the bottom of your screen. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Preferably message us through our Facebook or Twitter page if you need to get in contact with us for any reason. Errol Carrion says, do you guys keep up with New Japan? Not as much as I would like. It's just there's so much wrestling content out there currently. Now, I will say this. The good thing about watching New Japan is they have crowds right now.
Yeah.
They have, they're not filling up their arenas by any means, but they've got crowds. And so it does kind of give you a big match feel again. regardless of the match, to be quite honest. What matches I have seen, just they feel different in a good way because again, we said this earlier in the show, the crowds make wrestling so much more exciting, so much more entertaining, whether you're there live or watching it on TV.
All right, we got some questions rolling in.
Yeah, you take one.
So let's start with the first one that I see, which is from Andrew. What do you do with Drew McIntyre now that he's regained the championship from Randy Orton? We actually kind of talked about this at the beginning of the show, that the WrestleMania plans might have changed. We saw some rumors and some links that we may not be seeing Orton versus Edge at Mania.
We can touch on that if you want.
There was a rumor that Alex had brought up that potentially it was who was it?
So basically, the rumor I read was instead of having an Edge and Orton match for the belt at WrestleMania, they're talking about having a mixed tag match and having an Edge and Fiend program. So it'd basically be Edge bringing in Beth Phoenix, who they're married, against the Fiend and Alexa Bliss in a mixed tag match at WrestleMania.
Rated R versus Rated R.
I mean,
and it's
kinda
and that has a lot of potential to it. So, as far as Drew McIntyre goes, I think you might see him be champion up until Mania. I think he will lose it at Mania.
So you don't think that they're gonna try to do the whole boosting Orton's number of title reigns that we've talked about?
Not this quick, no. I mean, he's
Okay.
at 14 now, right? So he wins another one. He's at 15. He drops it. Then he would need to win one more to tie the record. I think you need to wait a few months to give him that ability. I do not want to see 5 more matches of Drew versus Randy Orton. I think that program needs to be done. I think you need to transition. Maybe we might even see a Randy Orton Fiend feud here. For a little bit, even though that Randy doesn't have the belt now, it might be for payback on Orton for all that, or you might see a triple threat coming up between Orton, Fiend, and Drew as well. So,
Okay.
But I think you got to move Drew on. We got to get some fresh people into the title picture.
Agreed.
I don't really care for the storyline, but I did see a picture that Jinder Mahal is almost ready for his comeback. Looks shredded. I mean, he looks really good.
He looks good.
And I know Drew has been wanting to do that program between him and Jinder. So that might be a possibility of having him return, maybe even in the Survivor Series match and get involved to kind of set up that feud. Wouldn't mind a Bobby Lashley. Like I said, if you haven't dropped the United States, I wouldn't mind a Bobby Lashley versus Drew match. Wouldn't mind an AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre match. So there's a few names. I've also heard rumor that Sheamus could be the next guy.
The last thing I read was that they're going to do a program with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, with the whole, Sheamus seeming like he's kind of aligning with Drew, giving him the sword and things like that. But that's kind of classic territory wrestling. Was back in the day, you'd have, your top face wrestler, a friend of his comes in the territory, looks like he's going to help him out, but then turns on him, and then they start a program. That's kind of Wrestling 101.
I could even see like a mutual respect storyline where like Sheamus gets put in just a number 1 contenders match, wins it. They're kind of buddy, like, hey, when the bell rings, it's on. But I respect you. And then as the weeks go on, they start to kind of like what he did with Keith Lee, which Keith Lee would be another one. I wouldn't mind to see a Keith Lee versus Drew title match. So, there's plenty of things they could do there, but ultimately I think you got to move Drew on with a new competitor.
Agreed. I'm going to tackle 2 questions back to back because one of them's going to be quick. Joe says this weekend's pay-per-view, who will be the top brand that wins? We'll cover that in our Survivor Series predictions later in the show, so stick around for that. Victor, I just saw your comment. Says he inboxed us for one of our Adam Cole Bebe shirts. I'll get back in touch with you at the conclusion of our podcast, or maybe not right after, but shortly after. Billy Ray Milburn says, Alex and Cole, how old were you when you watched wrestling for the first time? I remember watching wrestling when I was like 4 years old.
Yeah, I would have to say 5 or 6. Which
So, I mean, that would have put...
My 5 and 6 year old and your 5 and 6 year old area was different time spans.
So that would have been like 1988, 89 for me, at least watching it live. I mean, obviously I've since, around the age of like 7 or 8, I remember going back, back in the day when we had video stores and Blockbusters and things like that. I would actually go, and even stepping back further into the time machine, you'd go and rent the VHS tapes. I went back and watched all the WrestleManias and Starcades whenever they had them on tapes, and so that was how you got your content pre WWE Network days. So yeah, I remember watching it live for the first time, 88, 89 time frame. So
yeah, mine would have been like late 90s, maybe early 2000s. I remember Shawn Michaels was kind of one of the top. Triple H was one of the top guys. The Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H. There was a lot of good ones. So,
you take one more, and then we'll kind of transition a little bit.
Okay.
Great questions, by the way, guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I'm just making sure I read all of them because I want to get the best one.
No, you're good. I mean, all of them are great questions, guys. They're hard to pick from.
Muscacholi is just cracking me up with these poster suggestions.
The more he makes these, the more he posts these questions or statements, the more I really want to do some like 8x10s and just so we have them.
Right. Here, I will make a side note real quick. Don't ever think that we aren't listening.
No, exactly.
The Alex Cole Baby shirts were formed by someone calling us Alex Cole Baby on this show.
Even the shirt was his suggestion. Putting it on a shirt.
Putting it on a shirt was a suggestion, and then I went and looked up Adam Cole's shirts and found one that would just be perfect, and that's what that shirt is based off of. So don't ever think that we aren't listening. We are, and we will take your guys' suggestions. I will go with this one here because it brings in a really great question. Michael Hunter says, in the Survivor Series match
I saw this one.
with Drew and Roman, what happens if The Miz cashes in at the start or during the match? This is the perfect opportunity. I can't believe I didn't think of this. What better match to cash in your Money in the Bank briefcase in a match where you could win one of two titles? It doesn't matter who you pin in the match.
Exactly.
You become champion.
Now, does he get to pick which belt he wants? So let's say he pins Drew McIntyre, but he wants the Universal title. Does he get the option to?
I guess, actually, now that I think about it, the belt's not on the line, though. So
no,
for him to go into the match, you can't join a match that the belt's not on the line during the match.
You have a Money in the Bank briefcase. You can cash in anytime you want for.
Right, but the belt's not on line. So he would have to define which one he's going after.
I see what you're saying.
Because in the past, like when Seth Rollins joined mid-match or whatever.
Yeah, I understand now.
There was a belt on the line already, which is why he joined in. But I don't think that you can have the two of them going at the same time and be like, I'm going to put my Money in the Bank on the line. It doesn't matter who I pin as long as I pin one of them. He would have to say he's cashing in on for the Raw or for the SmackDown. So I do think you're going to see Miz involved here, which could be a flip the script moment. Miz could come out of Survivor Series as WWE champion.
Could be.
Drew winning it back could have just been for the Drew Roman thing to get the belt off Randy. We could see 2 title changes here really quick just because Roman could come out, have a great match, but go over on Drew. Drew's staying there. Jey Uso comes out, beats up on Drew some. And then you hear, quiet on the set, please. Can I get quiet on the set, please? And here comes The Miz.
Oh, man. Good stuff. I love your guys' questions. These are really hard to pick from. So that's why this is going to be a weekly segment. So we'll take your guys' fan mail each and every week. But for now, I'm going to give you guys some Lord Alfred Hayes.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
I want to let you guys know that you can check out the Going Broadway podcast live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. Once again, our social media platforms are scrolling across the bottom of your screen as we speak. Facebook.com/Going Broadway Podcast, Twitter.com/Going BRDWI Pod, Instagram.com/Going BRDWI Pod, YouTube.com/Going Broadway Podcast. We're also on Patreon, Patreon.com/Going Broadway Podcasts. If you consider becoming one of our patrons, first of all, we'd sincerely appreciate it. We do have 4 different tiers that you can choose from, ranging from a $5 a month commitment to a $50 a month commitment. Each of them has their own perks and benefits, anything from additional giveaway entries to discounted merch purchases to free merch. So again, check that out. It's patreon.com/goingbroadwaypodcast. You can check us out live every Wednesday on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So you can choose from any of those 3 platforms to check us out live. Speaking of our shirts earlier, someone mentioned that they messaged us. Again, Victor will get back with you, but here are our shirts if you're interested in them. These are our Alex Cole Bebe shirts. They are $25 shipped plus applicable taxes for a t-shirt, $50 shipped plus applicable taxes for a hoodie. It's hoodie season, guys. You got to get your Alex Cole Bebe hoodies. I know some of you guys live in the southern states where maybe it's not as cold, so get a t-shirt. We're going to have a Christmas discount on our merch purchases as well, so I'll start announcing that publicly in the next probably week or 2, but for the time being, if you are interested in a t-shirt or a hoodie, I'll give you that discount now. For those of you watching us live, that's my gift to you. So the other thing we need to do is we had a 100-spot randomizer for a block logo WWF Big Eagle belt. This is a 100% American-made belt, plates, and leather. This was a paid raffle. This has nothing to do with our free giveaways, but this is a randomizer I want to do real quick. I had this pulled up. Where'd it go? Come on now. Leave it to Facebook to do this to me.
Billy, you never know. Billy says you all need a greatest wrestling podcast ever shirt. I said you never know. We've talked about it. We do have some designs and stuff in the works. You just never know what's going to be debuted here on the Going Broadway, the greatest wrestling podcast ever. You never know what we could do.
Yeah, we're constantly talking about just ideas for merch and for shirts. I mean, not just shirts. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to doing hats for you guys. I mean, Cole wears hats all the time.
Apparently, we need to get into the poster business.
I don't know if we'd have too many people with our posters, but that's neither here nor there. So, all right. So I got this pulled up. We're going to do this 100 spot randomizer real quick. Again, this was a paid event, so this has nothing to do with our giveaways that we're doing. So I'm gonna have Cole count me off. This is gonna be 10. I say 10 clicks. It's actually 10 taps, but
10 taps
nonetheless. I'm gonna point this toward you guys. Hopefully you can see it. So here we go. All right.
1.
1 popped up.
2. 3. 4.
1 popped up again.
5. 6. 7. 8. 9. Let me get a virtual drum roll, please. We don't do drum rolls.
Yeah, we're not doing drum rolls anymore.
I broke stuff last time.
And number
10. The winner is
number 18. Number 18 is Rusty Thomason. So I'll get in touch.
I think I saw him on here.
I don't think he's able to check us out live. I think he works.
Oh, maybe. I thought I saw his comment earlier.
But Rusty Thomason is our winner, number 18. So I will get in touch with Rusty. Congratulations to him on winning the randomizer for that.
Just for you, Muscatoli.
I totally forgot about that.
Say crow call.
So congratulations, Rusty, on that win. Go back to our topics here. There we go. Why isn't this changing? Try it again. There we go. Technology is great when it works. Sometimes it takes a second. All right. So Wrestler of the Week. This was kind of a a tougher one just because there wasn't as much as there was headlines, there wasn't really a ton of in-ring standout work to choose from, or standout in-ring work to choose from.
He is on here.
Huh?
He is on.
Is he?
Yeah, I thought I saw him.
Oh, cool. Rusty, congratulations. So who do you got? I have a gut feeling. I have a gut feeling by default we're gonna have the same person.
So I'm gonna tell you who my runner-up was first,
Okay.
because it became tough once I thought about it. I was like, because I may never pick these guys ever. These guys may never come up into my.
Billy Jordan's comment: "Crow call T-shirts, please."
That would be funny.
That would be
Like
hilarious.
my face with the hands on it.
Well, no, we could go all out. You know how some of those Walmart shirts have like the actual sound and lights for Christmas? Have
An ugly crow call.
an ugly crow
Christmas
call sweater
sweatshirt.
that makes noise.
Oh my goodness, you guys would have to buy that. Anyways,
You would have to buy that if we made it because that wouldn't be cheap to
Yeah.
make.
yeah, we'll hand make them. We'll attach Christmas lights to them.
Anyway, continue.
I initially thought the Natural Nightmares because the bunkhouse match was really good, and I was actually extremely impressed because I thought I was going to be bored with it, and they actually put on a really good match. So those are my runner-up
Okay.
because because I don't ever think they'll ever come up in this conversation again. I wanted to at least mention that they were on my mind because of that match. I got to go with Drew McIntyre. And the reason why is he had a great tag match last Monday night's Raw with the New Day, Randy Orton, who was it? Other tag team. Randy Orton was with.
I don't remember if I'm being honest.
Oh, I can't remind me. It was good though. Drew looked good in that. Then you go to SmackDown. You put on a great promo against Roman. You have a good match against Jey Uso. You know, you really sell it at the end against Roman. And then you go in this past Monday Night Raw and you win the belt back. And now we have you versus Roman at Survivor Hurt Business. Was it the Hurt Business?
I don't remember.
I don't think it was the Hurt Business.
I don't know.
So yeah, for me it's Drew McIntyre. I thought he was going to lose steam when he lost the belt. I thought surely this is going to be the downfall of Drew McIntyre again, putting him back like in the mid-card or kind of lost without a purpose area, and the fans still stuck with him. People are still behind him, still happy that he's champion.
That's one thing I was shocked with on social media. Like, people were still on board with him winning back the title, and not that I'm not. It really surprised me that people were like,
I'm refreshed by that because I don't want to see him fade. I think he's very talented in the ring, getting better and better on the mic and killing it as a face right now. I think, I think for me, it's Drew McIntyre.
So I jokingly said before the show, Leon Ruff was my runner-up. A pretty much no-name guy goes out and wins the NXT North American title. Completely a joke, but I'm actually calling an audible right now. Drew McIntyre gets my runner-up. I literally just changed this as you were talking, just so we don't have the same one. My wrestlers of the week are going to be the Good Brothers for winning the Impact Tag Team titles.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Just to kind of change it up a little bit, give Impact a little bit of love, because we don't talk about Impact too much, but they're gaining some steam. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be a threat to WWE or even AEW, but as we saw on Full Gear, Don Callis was on the call for the Omega Page match, and he's one of their VPs in Impact, I believe. So we might start seeing some more collaborations with AEW and Impact. AEW New Japan, we've already seen it. So we'll see. What were you laughing at? John Cena.
Yes, I was looking at Billy's thing. This is just for you, Cole. The wrestler of the week is...
And his name is John Cena!
Come back to us, John. Come back to the wrestling world so I can make you my weekly wrestler of the week.
Even if
not even on the show.
I was gonna
John
say
Cena, wrestler of the week.
he just does a short little he'll come on, do a short little promo plug for something that's like maybe one of his movies or something like that, a 2-minute video. Wrestler of the week.
It's not. He's not even on. He doesn't even do a promo. It's like a.
A
Let's look back
pre-tape.
at this Royal Rumble moment or this Survivor Series moment. John Cena. John Cena had match of the night.
I love it. All right, let's get to our Survivor Series predictions. I want to make sure we have enough time for this. So as we're going through this match by match, give us your thoughts and predictions yourself. Cole's DJ Jesse Lee. Cole, is that your ringtone?
No, I actually.
It would
don't-
be if you could, though.
If I did ringtones, it would be, but I actually just stick to vibrate.
Let's take a look at these matches. So as of right now, it looks like there are 6 matches announced. Plus, we're going to have the Undertaker.
Yeah, we need to
tribute.
predict there. Yep.
I don't have really much to add. Just that they've announced that they're going to have some guests involved, particularly including I know they've announced Kane, Savio Vega, Godfather, Kurt Angle. Am I missing anybody?
I'm not sure. I'm shocked that Bruce Pritchard isn't involved with this.
He probably will be to some extent. I mean, they'd have to. I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't. I was going to say they'd have to get him in his Brother Love get up, but I don't know. Maybe not. I'm sure they're going to announce more over the next few weeks. So, but as far as sorry, did you have anything to add to the Undertaker's?
So
I don't have a whole lot to say.
I
but
kind of want to address it because everyone thinks that the Fiend's going to be involved here, and that I don't know. I want to. Here's the problem. I want to believe that Undertaker's done. I want to believe that the Boneyard match was his last match. I want to believe that the last Ride pay-per-view was his, acknowledgement of I'm done. But I can never rule it out. I really can't. We've heard this too many times. Could we be seeing a last setup match in front of a virtual audience at least with Undertaker versus The Fiend and kind of handing the torch actually over to The Fiend, having The Fiend being the one that retires The Undertaker? I don't know. But The Fiend's not on this pay-per-view and he's not on any Survivor Series team. He's not in any title match. There's nothing for The Fiend at Survivor Series, and he's one of their top talents. Do we see the Fiend come out during this and attack maybe one of the other legends if it's not The Undertaker, just to have him show up or make his presence known, tease something between him and Taker, maybe just mind games going back and forth? I don't know. I'm just curious if you think any of these rumors are maybe not even rumors, just Mark's grumblings in the wrestling community. Do you think there's any validation to this? Do you think this is a clean Undertaker tribute, or do you think something's going to happen here?
Okay, so we'll add this to our predictions.
Right.
I think that it's going to be from the standpoint of having some kind of a schmoz run in, setting up another match, whatever. I don't think it's going to, and I hope it doesn't. I think it's going to be just a normal, clean, for lack of a better word, tribute to the Undertaker. That I don't know if it's going to be like a multiple segment long thing throughout the pay-per-view, if it's just going to be one 20-30 minute segment at the end of the show. I don't know, but ultimately I think he is done. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but to me it's just he doesn't have anything left. He cannot perform in the ring anymore, unfortunately. I don't want to see another cinematic match either. I think the way that cinematic match with AJ went over was a perfect end to a really, 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 no pun intended, phenomenal career. So I think that's how it's going to go, and I hope that's how it goes.
Here's my prediction. I just realized that there's a certain somebody who's been a big part of Undertaker's career who is no longer on the card. I think Randy Orton comes out. And tries to do his whole little Legends gimmick thing, kind of be disrespectful, and that's where you see The Fiend pop in. And The Fiend will come in to not necessarily defend Undertaker, but build his storyline with Randy Orton there, and then the lights will hit, the Fiend's music will play, Undertaker will still be in the ring, Randy Orton will be stuck between Undertaker and Fiend. Fiend will hit him with the Sister Abigail, whatever, and then Undertaker and Fiend will lock eyes. You'll see the Fiend do some kind of taunt to him, and then you'll see the Undertaker do his little tongue out, finger across the throat thing, honoring each other, kind of giving the nod to the Fiend without having a match.
Passing the torch, essentially.
I think that's my prediction.
And I'd be okay with that. I mean, ultimately, see, my hang up on having at least having the Fiend involved is WWE has been very clear, as well as the wrestling dirt sheets, so to speak, have been very clear that they want to have Fiend as a face character. I don't think you can keep him as that if he has something to do with the Undertaker tribute.
Unless he's the face that
yeah. Unless he's stopping somebody else,
right?
And that'd actually be a good way to book it, in my opinion. So, all right. So match by match. Let's. I'll just go in order of how it's on my page. So, gotta get back to it. All right, so the 5-on-5 Women's Survivor Series elimination match, we've got Team Raw consisting of Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lana, Lacey Evans, and Peyton Royce. The latter of the two subbing for Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Against Team SmackDown, Bianca Belair, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and 2 members to be announced.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to scroll to it. Give me a second.
No, you're good. I find it odd that we still don't know who all of Team SmackDown is.
They've been slacking.
And you're 4 days away from a pay-per-view. And it's going to be, let's see, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, 4 days away from a pay-per-view. You're going to be 2 days away from a pay-per-view on SmackDown, assuming they don't announce it until then. It wouldn't make sense to announce it until then. Again, it's WWE, you're throwing logic out the window. They could just throw it up on social media and say, here's the last 2 entrants into SmackDown's match, which wouldn't make any sense because you've had all these, what's the word I'm trying to think of? You've had all these matches to figure out who was going to be on team.
Like qualifying.
Qualifying, yeah, that's the word I'm trying to think of. But yet, one of 2 things is going to happen. You're going to have two people announced 2 days before your pay-per-view, or you're just going to randomly throw it up on social media, which would make no sense either because there's no build.
They're supposed to have the 2 matches tonight, or on sorry, not tonight, on SmackDown.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
They mentioned that on Raw. So this is what we need to do first. Who are the 2 additions to the SmackDown team? Because I'm trying to run down the SmackDown women's roster right now, and only a couple names come to my mind. And the thing that interests me on this is that when they did qualifier matches on SmackDown, they've all been triple threat, fatal 4-way matches. So what we have: Billie Kay, Natalya, Tamina, Carmella,
and Bayley.
Those are all people who
I don't know who's in these qualifying matches though. Off the top of my head,
didn't tell us.
Oh, okay.
It just said that they will be decided.
Okay.
And then the other name that sticks out to me that has not debuted, actually 2 names that stick out to me that we haven't seen in a minute, that haven't debuted. There was the rumor that Eva Marie was coming back, and Eva Marie could make her debut tonight or on this Friday night's episode and join the team. The other name that sticks out to me is Sonya Deville.
Okay.
I could see Sonya Deville making her return to SmackDown now that Mandy Rose isn't there, and using this as a platform to kind of get her back into a picture, of the women's division. So,
okay,
if there are no returns, I think Natalya makes this team somehow. I think they'll be like kind of how they did with all these other ones, this second chance type opportunity. Maybe her, Billie Kay, and Tamina in a triple threat. I think Natalya makes this team. I think if this match is even going to be worth watching, you got to put Carmella on this. Sasha Banks is already in the title picture. Bayley's kind of disappeared from TV in a sense. Like she just kind of came out, but then Carmella got the push in that. I think you could put Carmella in this match, and it wouldn't really hurt the storyline that they're building on SmackDown. Gives her a build. Maybe you have Bayley come out and feud with her, just mad that she's trying to get involved. Or maybe you have Sasha come out and feud with her, depending on where that match is in the card versus the Asuka-Sasha match. So, but I think you got to have Carmella on this. If not, you're looking at like Billie Kay, Natalya, Tamina, which to me doesn't really boost this team. You kind of need Tamina on this just to have someone who can even size-wise be comparable to Nia Jax. But I don't know. That to me, we just need to kind of establish the teams real quick, because Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Lacey Evans, to me, are three that are undeniably going to be hard to beat. And the only person I see on the SmackDown roster who could do it is Bianca Belair. And so I think, for me, my prediction, Raw wins this match. I think they're going to make Lana the sole survivor in this match. They're going to have her win when all odds are against her. I think you're going to see Bianca Belair kind of be the last woman up in the SmackDown team. And it's going to look really hard for Lana to beat Bianca. But Nia and them are going to try to get involved, which is going to actually help Lana, even though they intend to hurt her.
So as far as the Team SmackDown side, I agree with you partially. I think you're going to get Natalya on their team. But I think we see Carmella on this card during the women's champion versus champion match.
Very much
and I think Bayley is going to be the fifth person on the team,
which would really make this match 10 times better.
So ultimately, who do you think wins? Which team?
I think Raw wins. I think
I agree.
They clearly want Lana to be the sole survivor and try to build her in that way. It doesn't hurt any other storylines. I think it's Raw.
Okay, I agree. I'm going Team Raw as well on that one. So far we've got Raw 1, SmackDown 0. Let's go. Let's just do the other 5-on-5. We got the 5-on-5 Men's Survivor Series match. Team Raw with AJ Styles, Keith Lee, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Matt Riddle. Just Riddle. Stupid. Against Team SmackDown, KO, Jey Uso, King Corbin, Seth Rollins, and another to be determined. Do we know if there's a qualifying match for this fifth spot?
Yeah, they announced that they'll be decided. But I'm trying to think on the SmackDown roster now.
Is Aleister Black injured?
He's just not on TV.
That's what I thought.
They haven't put him on there. Can you put Aleister Black on this team, though? I don't know. He feuded with Seth Rollins, but is now a heel. He feuded with Kevin Owens, and that's not really done. I'm trying to think of other people. I'm going to project Big E.
Okay.
I think Big E makes the most sense. You want to build him. He doesn't really. I mean, they're kind of using him in the Street Profits New Day storyline, too. So maybe they use him on the card for that and kind of have him out there, which I could see that even going where Big E helps the Street Profits win because it's for SmackDown.
I hope it's not the case, but I bet the fifth spot goes to not Aleister Black, goes to Lars Sullivan.
Now that's another one that was in the back of my head that it could go to Lars, and that would definitely help their team as far as size. The only other one that sticks out to me might be like Murphy or Rey Mysterio or maybe even Dominic Mysterio, just because they're prominent on TV right now. So as far as looking at it, it's hard to make these projections when you don't have team versus team up there because you don't know how it'll affect other storylines.
Agreed.
As of right now, I'm actually looking at the card. I would normally go one way, but I think there's going to be a swerve. I'm going to go with Team SmackDown here. I know the Raw card looks stacked, but they have teased that they cannot get along this entire time. And I think you're going to see them work really, really well together at first, and then it's all going to implode. And I think it's going to be to where Jey Uso helps get the win. I think it's going to be a build-up for Jey Uso.
So here's where I'm conflicted. Right now you've got 6 matches on the card. Are they going to throw in a 7th match, so ultimately you'll have either a clear-cut Raw or SmackDown winner for the night, or could we end with a 3-3 tie?
I wouldn't be shocked if you see pre-show announce that there's like a battle royal of sorts with all the remaining talents,
Okay.
and whoever wins that might actually be the advantage.
Okay. Because I'm trying to, as we're doing these predictions, I'm trying to figure out here's what I'm coming back to. I think they want SmackDown to win,
I agree.
but I'm looking at the entire card, and okay, without getting ahead of myself, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say SmackDown for this one as well. So let's go to the Lashley Sami Zayn champion versus champion match. We already said that there's a rumor that Lashley is going to win in a squash match, which that was going to be my prediction regardless. So at that point, at least on my end, Raw would be up 2-1.
Yeah, I got Lashley winning that match as well. So
Okay, so let's just go to the next one. So, New Day and Street Profits.
So this is where it gets interesting for me, because if Big E's not on the team, I see him very much involved in this match. And I don't think it's going to be done distastefully, but I think you're going to see him help the Street Profits win for SmackDown.
Ooh.
They've teased it on TV of like them joking with him. There's a mutual respect there. I think this actually has potential to be match of the night. New Day versus Street Profits. I think that it's going to be a fun match to watch.
Okay.
But I think they've teased the Big E thing a lot for him not to be involved with this match. Whether he comes out and tries to help the New Day and it backfires, or if he comes out and just kind of helps Street Profits win for Team SmackDown, and it's like sorry, it is what it is. I'm on SmackDown now, and it's a respectful thing, but it's not in New Day's favor. I think Street Profits are going to win that match, and it's going to give SmackDown the 2-2.
Okay. I think I'm going Street Profits as well. Okay, so 2-2 so far. Now, again, this is not including possible announcement of a pre-show, because we can't predict something that doesn't exist. Before we predict the next two matches, let's do our last replying with the word here. If you want to get your entry into our Week 1 giveaway that we're going to do right after we're finished with these predictions. Now, you only have to do this once. If you've done it already, you do not have to do it again, because you're only going to get one entry regardless. If you want to do it again, totally fine, but you don't have to. So as you're doing that, let's just do Asuka and Sasha Banks. I mean, by default, again, I think SmackDown's going to win. By default, I have to give the edge to Sasha.
I was going to say Sasha, and the reason why is that they put Asuka over her so many times during the pandemic era when she was with Bayley. I think this is where we're going to see Sasha get the win clean on Asuka.
Okay. So you don't think there's going to be shenanigans involved? Because like I said, I think Carmella makes her appearance during this match. Even that aside, I'm still going to go Sasha Banks.
I definitely think she makes her appearance. Whether it's during the match, though, I don't know. If it's during the match, I could see her trying to super kick Sasha, accidentally super kicking Asuka, which gives Sasha the win.
Could be post match.
I think it's gonna be post match though. I think Sasha's gonna get the clean win. She's gonna have her guard down,
okay,
because she's pumped about getting a win over Asuka, who's had her number, and then you're gonna see another untouchable moment with Carmella giving her the super kick. Or you could see Bayley hit, music hit again, and Carmella get the sneak attack. So, a lot of angles there, but I think we're gonna see a clean win for Sasha over Asuka.
Okay. All right. So, last match, we've got Drew and Roman. I mean, it almost doesn't make sense if you have Roman lose this match. Now, we're predicting clear-cut winners. We're not doing any kind of dusty finishes. We're not doing double DQs or double countouts, which that could happen. But
doubtful on this pay-per-view.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's doubtful, but I mean, to me, it almost makes a talent look worse in that situation as opposed to just taking a clean L and putting the other guy over.
Now, actually, reflecting back to last year, they did just throw together a match or two on the match on the pre-show that was just Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT, and the New Day won. I don't know if you remember that because they made the big old ordeal that they didn't even count their win as part of the tally for the night. So it wouldn't even shock me if it's not necessarily even a battle royale, but just like a random tag team versus a random tag team, or a random superstar versus a random superstar.
Right.
So that could be a thing too. But looking at this match, if I want to say that there's going to be 7 matches, and the reason
I think there's got to be, because you can't go into a pay-per-view expecting a Raw or SmackDown win and have an even amount of matches. It just doesn't work that way. So I agree. I fully expect that there to be a 7th match added in some capacity.
With that being said, I have Drew McIntyre. And the reason
Really?
why is that Drew McIntyre, here's why. On SmackDown, it's been teased that Jey Uso keeps overstepping Roman. He stepped up and got in Drew's face and tried to fight Roman's battles for him, and Roman got mad about it. This is going to be another way for Roman to assert his dominance, to take an L where he doesn't need the win to keep his belt or to keep his dominance. Jey Uso gets involved in this match, and it affects Roman in a way that he loses the match.
Wow.
Drew wins, and then it sets up the storyline even deeper for Roman to get Jey in line.
Okay.
I got Drew McIntyre, which
Okay.
doesn't hurt my tally because I think SmackDown will win at some kind of pre-show match to give them the edge, but
Okay.
I got Drew McIntyre.
So I'm going the opposite. I'm going Roman Reigns on this one. And I think that that would put it at 4-2 SmackDown. I think it'd actually be 4-3. I think Raw would get a pre-show win
Could
or
be.
whatever.
I know I have potential to be completely wrong in this because I do think that the odds are in Roman's favor, but I would like to see a swerve, and I'm going with good old Drew.
Well, that makes me a little bit more happy because I thought we were going to have predictions
No,
exactly the same.
You and I got to switch it up a little bit, just a little bit.
Travis says Roman wins because Brock comes up and comes out to help Roman. I don't think we're going to see Brock on WWE TV for a while.
Yeah, not till we get crowds back at least.
All right, guys, let's do our randomizer. So I've got everybody's entries. Again, if you replied with the word here at least one time, you got your entry. If you replied 2 or 3 times, you still only got 1 entry. But I got everybody's entry here. I got this ready, queued up and ready to go. So let's do this. I'm going to bring the microphone down here so you guys can actually hear me clicking. I can't turn my computer towards the camera as I'm clicking, but I'll turn it towards you once, to show you the winner. So Cole, why don't you count this off? I'm going to put the microphone down here to do the clicking. So,
All right, here we go.
hang on.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Number 10 is
Ian Rodriguez is our winner. I'm going to turn this towards you so you can see there's no shenanigans involved.
no shenanigans.
Is that showing up pretty clear? Maybe?
No. Kind of.
I don't want to knock the camera over.
Ian Rodriguez. I'm reading it. It is the randomizer.
Ian Rodriguez is our winner.
Congrats,
So
Ian.
congrats to Ian. Ian Rodriguez and all future winners have to contact me to claim your winnings. Again, it is a mystery prize each and every week. I'm going to leave it to our winners to share what they've won once it is mailed to them. As I've said before, I cover shipping for free within the lower 48 states. If you live in Alaska, Hawaii, or otherwise internationally, you have to be responsible for some of the shipping costs. So I forgot to do the transition. Maybe.
So did the computer.
Yeah, apparently. Week 1 giveaway has been complete. Okay. So, again, congrats to Ian. Ian, you can just send us a message to our Going Broadway podcast Facebook or Twitter page, and we'll get you hooked up with the. Andrew says I didn't win anything on this week's show. I knew it. Dusty finish.
He also said earlier we all win the crow call.
Ah!
Oh, there you go.
I can actually do it better than that, but
Alex wins. He's for now in charge of the crow call.
hold on. I gotta kind of get this.
You get the flint. You got.
Yeah. Well, I've been dealing with this the entire show, and I've been like chugging my coffee. Now my coffee's gone, so I'm just kind of like been struggling today. So hold on.
Oh my goodness! It's like he's a bird caller. Here come the crows.
I have kids, so hashtag Heath Slater. No,
I got kids.
I have kids, so I have to work on my sound effects and just different voices and stuff. So anyway,
Coming soon, a Sting's children's book. Stores near you.
That's gonna about do it for us this week. As far as next week goes, guys, we will have a show, but I'll be flying solo. Unfortunately, Cole's going to have to work on Wednesday, but I'll still be here hanging out with you. It will be a shorter show, but like I said, we'll be here every Wednesday, or someone will be here every Wednesday. The show must go on. So any parting thoughts from you? We won't see you for a couple weeks. We got Thanksgiving coming up, so...
For me, happy Thanksgiving to everybody, first and foremost. I do have to work due to Thanksgiving, so I will not be here next Wednesday. But happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Excited to see what happens with Survivor Series. Make sure you guys post your thoughts and all that. I will probably be watching the show live, so I'll be here in the comments with you guys. Checking out what you guys are talking about. So let us know what you think of that. Thank you for watching the greatest wrestling podcast ever. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Don't forget to share the page. We want to give these 3 belts away when the time comes.
I know I keep leaving that out during our promotion. So
we want to give 3 belts away.
yeah, so if you guys are new or fairly new, ultimately we've been trying to do this giveaway where once we get to 5,000 Facebook likes and 1,000 Twitter followers, we're going to do a 3-belt giveaway to one winner. Basically, if you like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, you get 4 entries into that giveaway once we hit those numbers. If you become one of our patrons, you can get even more entries into that giveaway, as well as any other announced giveaway. This particular giveaway our Christmas giveaway is not included in that. But any announced or unannounced giveaway. Sometimes we'll do, unannounced giveaways on our shows for people that are watching live. Sometimes we'll do our little game show thing, which I don't know. Maybe I'll do next week. Maybe I'll give 2 things away next week.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'll be flying solo, so I got to make this fun for you guys. So maybe we'll do a randomizer plus a game show. I don't know. Just tune in live and find out. But anyway, if you do all 4 of those things, you get 4 entries into that drawing. If you become one of our patrons, depending on the tier you choose from, you can get up to 20 additional entries. I forgot the number exactly. Victor, to answer your question, which belts are they? I have them picked out already. They are a mystery.
Let's get those likes. Let's get what we need to get those belts given away. I would love to give those away before Christmas. I'd love to make sure that somebody has these as a nice little Christmas edition to the stuff. So let's make it happen. Go share the page. Let all your friends know. Share it in your wrestling community groups. We know Facebook has tons of them. So get in your group, share it. Let them know what we're doing. Let them know about the free giveaways we're doing each week, because that's a great way to get people interested and involved. And last but not least, don't forget to get your Alex Cole Bebe t-shirts and hoodies. It is that time of year. Get it as a Christmas gift for someone else. Get it for you as an early Christmas gift. But get it today. Message us at the Going Broadway Podcast Facebook page, Instagram page, Twitter page, whatever you got to do. We want you to have these. Message us. Get one now.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
But as far as the belt giveaway, again, I've got them picked out already. Only the winner will find out what they are. But as far as our numbers, we're really close to that 1,000 Twitter followers mark. I think we're like 5 or 10 short from that. Facebook, we got a little ways to go. I think we got like 500 or 600 more. But like Cole said, share our pages in your wrestling groups on Facebook. I know there's a lot of belt groups on Facebook. There's a lot of wrestling memorabilia groups on Facebook. So make sure you're following the rules of the groups. But if they allow it, help get the word out about our show, our giveaways, our brand in general. And that's about it. So for Cole, for Alex, myself, thanks again so much, guys. We sincerely appreciate you tuning in. We have fun doing this every week. I will be here next week, same time, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Check us out, and we'll see you then.
And so, goodbye. Mwah. And good night. Bang!
This podcast was a presentation of LightUpMedia.fm.